This podcast contains swear words.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Talking Shit with Tara Cheyenne, a podcast about making art, about making shit up, about being creative, not giving up in the process of being creative, which is harder than it seems sometimes, and living as well as we possibly can in the process. Process. I am coming from the perspective of a performing artist, but the themes and ideas I'm talking about here apply to all of us, whether we consider ourselves artists or not. You are. Just admit it. Just admit that you're an artist. On some level, you're an artist. And life is a creative act. I'm your host, Tara Cheyenne Friedenberg, and I am an artist. I make shit up for a living. I'm very lucky to be able to do that. I'm a choreographer, I'm an actor, dancer, writer, director, and educator living on the unceded, stolen, ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations on the west coast of Turtle Island. Now, before I get rolling with this very special episode, I would just like to remind you to please like, star, heart, thumbs up, share, write a review, a good review of this podcast. Share it with somebody you really like. Share it with somebody who you think could really use it. Maybe you don't like them very much, but maybe if they listen to this podcast. And if you have the means to please donate, donating to independent arts organizations is so important these days. Things are not so rosy in the old funding world. It's hard. So any little bit helps. If not to Tara Cheyenne Performance, maybe there's another arts organization that you believe in. For TCP, Tara Cheyenne Performance, go to our website, upper right-hand corner, click that donate button, or we'll link you to that very page in the show notes. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, let's kick it off. The 10 things I wish I had known as a younger artist. Number 1, your idea or your ideas are not new. They're not necessarily original, but it's new to you. And that is what is most important, because you are new and original. And that idea, through you alchemized through your experience, through your voice, through your organism, will be new. And I didn't really know that. So there were ideas that I thought were like really exciting and I'd get really into them, but then I'd hear that somebody else had done something kind of similar, or maybe it sounded like the same idea, and then I just throw it in the bin. So that's number 1. It might not be new, but it's new to you. And number 2, it's really important to have bad ideas for a few reasons. If you're not having any bad ideas, you're probably not spending enough time on your own ideas. Maybe you're spending too much time on Instagram like I did right before I started recording this podcast. I was taking in other people's creativity and getting sidetracked and losing my mojo, my inspiration, my energy, frankly. And I thought maybe I should take another nap. It's okay. I've already taken a nap. So, bad ideas are important. And having enough creative time will produce lots of ideas. Walking, for example, which I've talked about before, walking with no stimulation. Like, okay, maybe if you're walking and you're listening to this podcast, that's really great. But maybe next time, walk with nothing, or have a conversation with somebody where you're just like talking about whatever. So you're generating ideas and you're not taking in content. Do you know what I mean? Right? And some of those ideas are going to be bad, and that's okay. And sometimes you're going to get halfway through a process and you're going to realize the idea is not really great, but in kind of pursuing the bad idea, sometimes the idea will transform. Yeah. And then there's the whole thing. There's no bad ideas. There's no stupid questions, like that. Number 3, try on somebody else's idea as a way of exploring another process. So what I mean by that is, maybe you see on the old TikToks or the old Grams a great video of some great dancing and you just love it and you start talking in a bad Irish accent because you love it so much. Take that into the studio and try it out. Don't steal people's work. Don't steal their moves, but try it out. Try a way of moving that you're not familiar with, but you're kind of jazzed about. Try that out. Read something and you kind of get the tone of somebody's voice. You read it and you think, there's a really amazing tone. Can you try writing in that tone? Or, for lack of a better analogy, speaking in somebody else's accent. Not taking what they've done and selling it like your own, but like trying stuff on. What does it feel like if I try and dance like one of my friends? What does it feel like if I try and speak like a poet that I love? What if I try and draw a drawing like that drawing I saw in that gallery last week? Try it on. Find a process. It's like, mirror neurons. When we have a conversation with somebody and we mimic them a little bit, we're soaking in, we're learning their perspective, and the same parts of our brains light up, emotional parts of our brains light up when we're in conversation. I think that might happen with art making. So taking a dance class, of course, that's a good example where you're taking on the movement of someone else. So things like that. Maybe singing along to your favorite song. I bet that's like that too. Okay, do that. Okay, number 4, self-promote. Self-promote. Sorry, I just had to say it to myself a few times because I really suck at this one. Trying to get better, but anyway, okay. So you might be procrastinating, like I am, about the posts, about the figuring out how to make the video, about the doing the thing, about the sending the email, saying, I'd love to work with you. Okay, this is your reminder to please self-promote because everybody's up to their fucking eyeballs in emails and work and grant proposals and trying to get the thing done and picking up the kid from school and remembering somebody's birthday, yada, yada. So remind people, send them the email. So do the thing first, right? Send the email, do the post on Instagram, promoting your show, and then follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I had a young artist ask me, is it okay to send another email if I haven't heard back? And I said, yes, it is. Of course it is. Just a simple, hey, don't know if you got my first email. Super interested in working with you. This is how to get in touch with me. I'm doing this show or whatever. And if that person is an a-hole and is totally irritated by your second email, maybe you don't want to work with them anyway. But we're all, like I said, up to our fucking eyeballs, and getting a reminder is fantastic. I love getting reminders. So we do want to hear from you, and I do want to hear from the folks who want to work with me. Of course I do. Just keep that in mind. So promote. The world needs to know about your art, needs to know about your talent and your idea and your performance, your show. So please send that stuff out there. Don't be shy. And please tell me to do this next time I see you. Number 5. This one's funny. When people give you advice, they're actually giving advice to their younger selves. And you decide if it's relevant. So all of these, the 10 things I wish I had known as a younger artist, of course I'm giving the advice to my younger self. So it's up to you and your gadget, your organism, to feel, and I think it does come down to feel, whether it's relevant to you. I've said this before, when folks are getting notes or feedback, you can kind of feel in your body whether that feedback is for you or whether it's not really for you. It's maybe for that person who's giving the feedback, and they're maybe giving it to themselves in a way. And when I say feel, it doesn't always feel good to get feedback that's relevant. It might feel a little prickly. It might feel a little like, oh, fuck you. But if you give it a little time, and time is important, 24 hours, think about it, like, well, do I agree with that? Do I agree with that note? Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that that's true, but it is true. And actually, now it's empowering because now I can decide that it's true and I can decide whether I'm going to take that on. You feel me? So keep that in mind. You don't have to take every bit of advice that comes at you. Some of it's really not meant for you. Number 7, it really is all about relationships. But also, don't discount your peer relationships. Artists get other artists' work. My great friend, Justine A. Chambers, has mentioned this a couple times in the recent past. We think of the gatekeepers, the presenters or curators or directors, artistic directors, as the gatekeepers, as the ones we have to build relationships with. It's true, those matter, those do matter, but it's also the relationships with our peers, the people we're in theater school with, the people we are in dance class with, the people maybe we're having lunch with later today. We do get each other work. When I get a call to do a job and I'm booked already, I will call my friend, who I know is also fabulous, and I will pass that job onto them or that contact onto them. Maybe they can take that job. I will chat up my colleagues to a presenter who I'm in their theater, I'm performing in their theater. They've maybe received a package from another choreographer, but I know that choreographer and I can tell them, you really want to book them. They are good. You're going to book them. So relationships really matter. Great advice is to ask people questions. We get all into this, like, I got to have the elevator pitch, which you kind of do, and I should work on mine. But ask people questions about what they're interested in, what kind of shows are coming to their theater this next year, what was their favorite thing that they saw at yada festival that you're both at. You just get the conversation going and you find the places where you connect. It's a relationship. And then you make a friend, which is really nice too. And because then when you're at the next opening or at the next showcase, you've got somebody to talk to instead of just hanging around the veggies and dip awkwardly. That's where I will be, so please come and find me. This one is related. Number 8, treat everyone like they could get you a job or cost you a job. What I mean by this is maybe you are in a rehearsal room and there's somebody who you don't know maybe who they are, and they ask you a question and maybe you're like an asshole to them because you don't know who they are. So you're like, whatever. But it turns out that that person is actually casting a show and they were just in and they were asked, you know what I mean? Do you follow? You don't know. We don't know who these people are. Just assume that everybody could get you a job, which also keeps us on our best behavior. Respecting people, knowing that everybody has a mountain of things on their mind, creative projects. Who knows? You might meet that person in 5 years and they got a big ass grant and they need somebody like you. But because you were a dick to them back there in that rehearsal room, they're not going to give it to you. Or you were wonderful and really helpful when they were looking for the mugs to make a cup of coffee, and they remember you because you had that conversation and you had a laugh and you were talking about TV, and now you've got a new relationship and now you get the job. You follow? Number 9. Your thoughts and ideas might be old hat to you. They've been rolling around in your head for God knows how long. They've probably turned into some sort of obsessive kind of cycle of rumination. But as art, they might be fantastically interesting to those of us outside of your head. So I think of things that I've been thinking about and maybe going on about, maybe worrying about. And because they've been going on in my head for so long, I discount them as a source for ideas. When in fact, those little weird things that you're obsessed with could be really, really interesting. I'm not going to promise they are, but they could be super interesting. So remember, the rest of the world cannot hear, thank goodness, the ruminations that are going on in your head. But if you get them out into the world, your perspective, because you're an artist, you're seeing things differently than everyone else. I'm seeing things differently than every other brain. We need to share this stuff with each other because they make these connections. We're connecting things for each other. Things are being connected within our funny little brains in ways that are very unique. Okay? So just because you're bored of your thinking doesn't mean it's not a good idea. 10. I borrow this from my gym, Mad Lab, here in Vancouver. If you want to get into fitness, that's the place to go. They're not paying me for this. I love it so much. But on the door, it says, play the long game. And as art makers, and also in health, they're so tied together. It's a long game. I had a presenter, another fellow artist, theater maker of blessed memory, Michael Green, say to me years ago, it takes about 5 years from the time you have the exciting conversation with a theater presenter or a curator or a publisher, somebody who's interested in your work, 5 years from that first connection to actually getting your show on their stage or your work up on their walls or your book in somebody's hot little hands. It's a long game. It doesn't happen instantly. It's hard because we get disappointed if things don't kind of click off. Click off? Who says that? If things don't take off right away. It's the long game. This relationship here, that collaboration here, this plugging of your podcast over here, this telling somebody you want to be in their show over here. It's the long game. We're in it. Okay, and although that was 10, and I said these were 10 things that I wish I would have known as a younger artist, as I was writing them and thinking about them, of course, more and more came up. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to give you a bonus one, number 11, catalog yourself. And I've talked about this before, and I think it's really important. Sit down and see if you can write down everything you've made from when you were little. See if you can write it all down. Look at every drawing, or it's like it gets out of hand really fast. And that's good because then you just kind of see how long you've been making shit up and the connections between the things that you've been making up. I do this every once in a while. I was working on my big CV for teaching jobs, university kind of stuff. Hey, are you a university hiring committee? Give me a call. Anyway, sorry, that was an aside. And so having to go through my whole career, there was stuff I had totally forgotten about. Stuff that was like, oh, actually, that's pretty cool. And that connects to this. And actually, I've been working on this theme for longer than I thought. Catalog yourself. Go through, whether it's writing it down, whether it's creating a little collage or a playlist or a album. I think it's important. And then we can reflect on what we've made, what we're made of, and what we're working on right now, and all the things we have to share, because you'll realize the richness that is in you already from before you were born. Probably it was already there. It's waiting to be embodied by you. And it is your responsibility to share it, what we're doing. That's the art-making thing. The weird idea, that move, that funny voice, that poem, that creation, that video, it's to be shared. So please share it. And that's a wrap. Those were the 10, 11 so far, things I wish I would have known as a younger artist. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any things you wish you would have known as a younger artist, I would love to hear from you. Please get in touch. Instagram, Tara Cheyenne TCP. Facebook, Tara Cheyenne Performance. Email, info@taracheyenne.com. Talking Shit with Tara Cheyenne is a project of Tara Cheyenne Performance. We are at www.taracheyenne.com. And funny, while you're there, you can go to the upper right-hand corner, donate button. A little donation goes a long way. We really appreciate anything. And share this podcast with your friends, heart, like, star, review, things like that. Probably there's things I don't even know. Oh, there's a bell. The bell on the YouTubes. Oh, ring the bell on the YouTubes. This podcast is produced, edited, and with original music by Marc Stewart. You can get in touch with Marc at marcstewartmusic.com. So keep making shit up. Make sure to take some time where you're not consuming, but you're creating, or you're just wandering, or you're coming up with bad ideas. It is necessary. Take good care of each other, and we'll see you next time.
This podcast is effing good.
Instead of just hanging around the veggies and dip awkwardly, that's where I will be, so please come and find me.